Is the tape running now?
The council chambers are called to order. We're going to begin our October 24th council meeting. We do so with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll call, please?
Commissioner Burns.
Here.
Commissioner Mannix.
Here.
Commissioner Novak.
Here.
Commissioner Entler. Here. Mayor Calderon.
Here. Thank you, Commissioners. The first item for your consideration is approval of the meeting minutes of October 11th. Is there a motion to approve? So moved, Your Honor. Approved by Mannix. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Entler. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, you may call the roll.
Commissioner Burns.
Aye.
Commissioner Mannix.
Aye.
Commissioner Novak.
Aye.
Commissioner Entler.
Aye.
Mayor Calderon.
Aye. Thank you. We are now at public comment. Madam Clerk, I'm going to have you call up the folks that signed in here. But I just want to point out, obviously, we have a large crowd tonight. Yeah, I'm certain that it pertains to the video gaming matter that's on the agenda. Just simply want to remind everybody, these are our official council meetings, and we have a decorum that takes place here. This isn't a time for hoopla and screaming and all that kind of stuff, so everybody can act responsibly. And when your turn comes up to speak, if you've turned in a sign-in sheet, we've got two podiums set up here. One that says in favor and one that says not in favor. And what I'm going to do, if these are marked, the speakers mark them by each hand. Both for and against.
Yes.
So what I'm going to be doing is alternating the public comments, so if you could just mix those up, so we have one for, one against, and that's the order in which we're going to have the public comment. Those that turn in a sheet, certainly we're going to listen to you. You're afforded 3 minutes to make whatever remarks that you want to make for public comment. I'll give you a reminder, kind of like that, when you're closing in at about 15 seconds left, just so that we can get through all of this. We want to be respectful of everyone's opinion that they want to offer here. So with that, Madam Clerk, you can call the first public speaker.
Stephen Chertok.
I must be first because I turned in my sheet last. My name's Steve Chertok, resident at 17. Can everybody hear me? Is this on?
I checked it. Is the red light on?
Is it on?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Steve Chertok, resident, 117 Rockford. Obviously, I'm not in favor of video gambling, and primarily for two reasons. But before I tell you why, the gaming industry's own numbers and admissions are that there are in this country 1% serious compulsive gamblers and 2% significant gamblers. And if you take those numbers out, that means that there's approximately 4.75 million compulsive or significantly serious gamblers in this country. I'm not going to say what all of this leads to. I'll tell you at the end what I think about it. But the first reason why I'm against video gambling is because I don't think we have the numbers. We often compare ourselves to Berwyn. I'm not sure why we don't compare ourselves to Oak Park. But according to the Illinois Gaming Board's statistics for this past fiscal 2015 through June 2016, if we do look at Berwyn's tax revenues that were generated by video gambling, you'll note that they received approximately $489,000 in tax revenues, which divided up by 47 sites and how many terminals there may have been, is the exact number of the exact tax revenue dollars. Now, we often think of ourselves as being about 1/4 the size of Berwyn. I don't know of any estimates or any way to project what the estimates of tax revenues for video gaming might be to Forest Park, but if you take 1/4, that's $125,000. You know, less whatever the the one-time fees and the yearly $25 terminal fee will be. This is a mere fraction, less than 1% of the total tax revenue, just the service dollars, the service tax revenues that is generated in this village, which hardly makes a difference to this village, I would imagine. So making any kind of broad claims that increases the revenues to this village by offering video gaming, just don't see it, at least not yet. Unlike alcohol consumption, where bar owners and bartenders are required by law to monitor behavior and consumption of its patrons, there are no requirements to monitor the irresponsible gambler or the compulsive gambler. While self-exclusion may be a step that states have taken, including Illinois, to prohibit irresponsible and compulsive gamblers, we can expect somewhere between 200 to 250 either serious compulsive gamblers or significant gamblers right here in Forest Park by the gaming industry's own numbers. And no matter how you may dismiss this or minimize these numbers, bar owners that are offering video gambling will be feeding into these many dozens of local residents and outsiders' irresponsible gambling habits and addictions, and it will have no obligation to look for or detect or stop one's troubled gaming behavior. Yes, business owners and homeowners and thousands of petitioners residing in Forest Park who sternly object to video gaming.
Steve, I'm going to give you 15 seconds.
I'm going to need 10 seconds. Who sternly object to video gaming in Forest Park for good reasons are not necessarily opposed to gambling. The reasons why they're opposed to video gambling in Forest Park is because what little is gained in benefits is what's risked and is much less than what is harmed and is too great and unaccounted for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Katie Redmond.
Hi, my name is Katie Redmond, 1053 Dunlop. I'm here to say that I'm pro-video gaming. Based on my personal experiences observing the enactment of video gaming in our surrounding communities, almost all of them, and the lack of negative outcomes versus the evident positive outcomes video gaming revenue has contributed to the business owners and to their villages. This includes property and streetscapes enhancements, as well as increased foot traffic and general exposure to Main Street businesses. I initially became involved in this debate because it really bothered me that some business owners and residents painted a dire doomsday scenario should video gaming be enacted in our town. It quite simply is not happening in our neighboring establishments. Further, we have many residents who enjoy video gaming and would like to stay here in town while enjoying a legal and legitimate pastime. As it is, they leave town to spend $50 or $60 or more, only to throw 20 at entertainment in the form of video gambling. We are losing that money, not just the video gaming dollars, but the food and the drink. Many of our neighbors, including Berwyn and Brookfield, North Riverside, and others, are experiencing these benefits. We can go back and forth about how we are not or don't want to be like these towns. However, I and others feel these opposing views are a little bit elitist, and there's no escaping the fact that we are part of a shared community here in the near west suburbs. Bypassing video gaming is quite simply a strategic mistake on the part of our village. There are observable, positive results in our neighboring communities that those who voted against video gaming 3 years ago might reconsider now in a not an off-year election. We already have small town charm. We always have. We are the end of the blue line. We are the end of the tip of what feels like a city. After this, it's the suburbs for sure. And that's not all about Madison Street. It's about Roosevelt and all the other business corridors in our town. We can't have it all. Allowing video gaming will not turn Forest Park into Pottersville, as some have claimed. We'll be keeping up with current trends in the tavern business while providing additional income to our established hometown businesses and community. And that's really it. The extremes this argument has reached and the divides it's created in our shared community are unnecessary. There is quite simply no substantial evidence that video gaming is going to negatively affect our surrounding businesses and communities. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Katie.
Leah Shapiro.
Hi, my name is Leah Shapiro, 7753 Van Buren in the Grove. I asked, what kind of a community do we want to be? What kind of a community do we want to be? We already know that many of our families move out because of the high school situation, and we know that may be rectified in a few years, or more than a few years. We have a lot of people who've lived here now for only 10 years, who come from the neighborhoods that actually surround us. If you leave Berwyn out, Oak Park doesn't have gambling, River Forest doesn't have gambling, Maywood doesn't have gambling. And, you know, when I'm in Berwyn, and I do a lot of therapy in Berwyn, I don't see, Berwyn's a community of like 55,000 people. So you have some bars, but they're not together. They're not concentrated. Here, we'd have concentrated bars on streets. And what about the image, Mayor Calderon, that you led to have all these wonderful restaurants and businesses that people come from all over to go to? Or ice cream place. Do you think they want to come with their children to a place that has loads of video games? So I think that Forest Park has changed, and it's changed for the good with those businesses that really provide so much. You can have a drink and have dinner, but I've been to some of these establishments for fundraisers, and they're sleazy as far as I'm concerned. And you could call me an elitist, but no, I am educated, and I think these bars, some of them are really dirty and really slimy, and have people who are getting drunk, and who, not just people who come and watch the football game or the Cubs, but people who are, you know, they come to the bars and they're going to spend their money on video gambling. You know, video gambling, I don't get it. It's not the image that I think my neighbors, from what I know, and there's 140 people in the Grove who all vote, the majority of whom would not like to see this happening to our village. Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick Jepno.
Good evening. Hello. I had something written down, but not on paper, computer, so it's all gone now. My reasoning, you know, a lot of folks on that side, you know what I think, and it's, I believe that video gambling is not what the majority of folks in this town want. That's where the big problem with me lies is, you know, let's have people vote on it. I understand you guys believe that this is going to bring income or retirement funds, but that money can be found in your departments and elsewhere. It's such a small number to run this village for a few days. Will it bring positive aspects to the street? I don't see that either. I think it will benefit the tavern owners and the few folks that do enjoy gaming, but that's about it. The majority would say that they don't want the gaming. And I hope that you guys take the time to wait until the spring when we can bring a petition that shows with the amount of signatures necessary. We will get that question on the ballot and then let's see what people think at that point. Right now, I think you're letting a few people run how you guys think, and that's where I stand. Thanks.
Thank you.
Noel Eberlein.
Good evening, I'm Noel Eberlein. I'm one of the owners of Yearbook at 7316 Madison in Forest Park here. We all just said the Pledge of Allegiance just a few moments ago, and I think the American flag represents the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans, and I think one of those greatest freedoms is the right to vote, the freedom to vote. And I think if we had a third podium up here tonight, not just in favor of video gambling, opposed to video gambling, but in favor of a vote on video gambling, I think the line would be out the door. Just in case someone didn't hear me because I was away from the mic and for the recording, if we had a third podium tonight that had a label in favor of letting the residents of Forest Park vote, the line would be out the door. Because I think it's important for all of you as elected officials to know that at this point, for many residents, this is beyond video gambling at this point. It's about feeling totally disheartened and disenfranchised by not being given the ability to vote on this. And it was so important to get public opinion 3.5 years ago. Why not now? I agree, Katie, maybe it would be different now, but we're not being given that opportunity. A Herculean effort was made by a lot of volunteers to gather almost 3,000 signatures. After all the oppositions, I think it came down to 2,267. We would have had an additional 162 votes 2 weeks from tomorrow. The residents of Forest Park would just be voting for president and other offices. They would be voting on shall video gambling be prohibited in Forest Park, yes or no. And that question won't be on the ballot. And why won't it be on the ballot? Because the group of business owners who stand to profit from video gambling put a strong and forceful stop to that petition effort to keep the referendum off the ballot. I'll be brief in my other comments. I've said a lot about this issue, I know already, but for me it comes down to three main things. It's not what the majority of residents want. It's not in their best interests as homeowners. It's not in their best interests as pride in their town. It's not in their best interests of the downtown of Forest Park. Secondly, it's not in the best interests of other business owners. I, for one, know we would not have opened our business here if there would have been video slots all up and down Madison Street. I can tell you that most of the other small business owners on Madison would not have opened here. And I think it will be a deterrent for other businesses to open here. Finally, and I think most importantly, we all need to take the image of our town very seriously. You can't put that on a spreadsheet. You can't measure it because some of it is just here. The pride, the love we have for Forest Park. So much work has gone into this village to make Madison Street and the town as a whole what it is. It's been called the Renaissance of Madison Street, the revitalization of Madison Street, the Bucktown of the western suburbs. So many people have worked so hard to make this town what it is. And I think video gambling is a move in the wrong direction. So please ask yourselves, is this in the best interest of the residents? Is it in the best interest of the entire business community?
Second wrap up.
And is it in the best interest of the image of the town as a whole? Just 3 more words, please. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Thank you.
Okay. Apparently we ran out the flip-flop, so props to Katie.
representing. But I canceled a meeting at work so that I could be here today because I feel so strongly about this issue. As I said, when I was picked as the token opposition to video gambling for the Village Forum, I'm not opposed to video gambling. I'm opposed to the way this council has decided to ignore the express wishes of the residents without any effort to be clear about why such a change is necessary and how their concerns will be addressed. How many video gambling terminals do you think are appropriate for Forest Park to have? What's your reasoning or evidence for that number as the prime target? If it's fewer than the 245 maximum that was mentioned at the forum, how would you regulate it to achieve that lower number? You say the Village of Forest Park has now had the opportunity to study the issue. What study went into the issue? When I asked Tim Gillian if he had talked to anyone from villages without gambling, why they decided not to have it, and he said, I suggested they would be someone better to be in the position on the forum. He said that he hadn't talked to anyone. So what have you done other than listen to those who want video gambling while ignoring those who want you to speak publicly about why you want it and want you to convince them? Why are you acting to overturn the will of the people as expressed by the previous referendum, and why now? Especially since it's been made clear that we're accepting a petition for a referendum to prohibit gaming is underway for the next election. Don't businesses crave stability and not chaos? I urge you to vote against amending Title III.
Thank you.
Donna McCune.
Hi, I'm Donna McCune. I live at 518 Thomas Avenue. I've lived in Forest Park for 28 years. I think Forest Park is a great town, and I think that the mayor did a great job when he brought the improvements to Madison Street and made it become what it is. But I'm here today because I object to the video gambling issue being on the agenda tonight. I object to your dismissive treatment of the voters who said no 2-1 to video gambling 3 years ago in an unfortunately non-binding referendum. I object to your dismissive treatment of the many people who spent 2+ months this past summer gathering signatures on a petition in an effort to get this matter on the ballot in November so we, the citizens, could vote our choice the democratic way. I object to your disregard for the fact that we have an ongoing petition drive to get the issue on the ballot in April 2017. You are completely and disdainfully dismissing the majority of citizens who want a voice at the ballot box on this issue. Why are you afraid of a vote? I strongly object to the video gambling issue being decided in this way, under pressure from the gaming industry, from the bar owners, in a manner that appears to be a backdoor, foregone conclusion with a let's do it this way because we can attitude, with a complete and utter disregard for the citizen, taxpayers, and voters of Forest Park. I think it's appalling. If this goes down this way, I presume none of you will be running for election next time around. Thank you.
Kate Nolan.
My name is Kate Nolan. I'm at 140 Marengo Avenue. I speak tonight yet again in opposition to video gambling in Forest Park. In particular, I oppose taking a vote at this point in time when a referendum petition is still being circulated. Through, I admit, a nicely finessed legal maneuver, the election board managed to keep the referendum off this November ballot, which really is a shame, because this call could have been very clearly decided soon, in 2 weeks, by a third vote of the people. We voted twice. We said no. We could have had a third vote. Katie Redmond's right. Maybe everybody changed their opinions on this. I don't know. But we could have had a vote. And yet, no, it wasn't to be. Those of us who were gathering signatures said, okay, back to work. We'll get it on the April ballot. In the meantime, we have all awaited the supposed revenue shortfall explanation that gambling's supposed to solve. Where is the shortfall? Why do we have a shortfall? Who's to blame for there being a shortfall? What's the cost center that's going to be addressed by these, if we're lucky, $5s of thousands of dollars that gambling's going to bring in? What cost centers are going to be addressed? If there's gambling revenue. What promises do we have that those revenues, however puny, are actually going to be used for those cost centers? We've had none of this, and you've had months of heads up that the citizens want to know. Tell us what it is. You had a big budget meeting in June. It was a perfect time to come forward and say, here's where the shortfalls are, here's how much they are, here's a plan, as Nick has pointed out, how many boxes we'll have, what we think they'll bring in, and there's your plan, citizens. And here's our leadership. Nothing. Nada. Big yawn. Nada. Yet again, we have so many questions and still no answers. Just the will of a connected few undermining the voices of the many. Please vote no tonight, or for the love of Jesus, table the whole thing till April. Thank you.
Jeff. Kelby.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Calderon. My wife Amy and I live at 1119 Circle. We've lived there 22 years. And over the last few months, I've volunteered in the petition drives to put video gambling on the ballot. I've met a whole lot of amazing people. And when I talk to them, I keep track of the numbers here, the hits and the misses, the signs and the declines. And it turns out around 90% of the people I talk to want to put it on the ballot. They say, yes, I'll sign that petition. I want a vote. Because that's what we do in a democracy. We put our issues on a ballot. We find the facts, we talk it over in the church basements and the coffee shops and across the back fences, and we decide what's best for our village. Not what's best for a certain group of people or a particular group of businesses. We strive what's best for all of us, and that's the American way. Mr. Mayor, Council, please don't push this through tonight. If you do, you're going to lose the trust of thousands of Forest Parkers. Let us all have a voice in it. Let it go to a vote in April. Now, point two, I'm going to use a visual aid here. This 12-month calendar represents the village budget for the year. It's longer. So, let's say video gambling passes. And let's look at the first $1 million in gambling losses, because that's really what we're splitting up here is gambling losses from Forest Park citizens and people from nearby communities. Now, this has been proposed as a big moneymaker for the village hall. Let's look at the village's 5% cut. If we all lose $1 million in gambling, the village's share would cover the budget from the very beginning of the year, okay, midnight, January 1st. That $1 million, the share would go from midnight January 1st to 10 p.m. on January 1st. So we lose $1 million, and that's what we end up with. So if this is a fundraiser for the village, it's the worst, most efficient fundraiser I can imagine. And I understand that the bar owners want that 35%, but almost all the rest of the money, 60%, leaves the village. It goes to the corporations that run the machines, and it goes to the state of Illinois. The distribution of the funds in video gambling is just not good for the village overall. And my final note is, when I first started collecting petitions, it was about the video gambling. And with this second go-around, the fire in my belly is the fact that a small group has decided that the rest of us aren't allowed to vote on it. That's what's getting me knocking door to door to get it on the ballot again. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. That's it, Madam Clerk? Okay,
That's it.
thank you. All right, we're going to continue with, we have no communications, no department reports. We're going to move on to approval of bills by resolution and ask the clerk to read that into the record, please.
Be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Forest Park, Cook County, Illinois, that we dispense with the reading of the individual bills inasmuch as each department head has approved and signed bills in the following aggregate amounts for their respective departments. Refunds and allocations, $330 even. Public Affairs, $34,494.16. Police Department, $2,691.89. Community Center, $3,815.64. House and Finance Clerk's Office, $15,476.72. Accounts and Finance Fire Department, $49,010.37. Department of Health and Safety, $3,223.38. Street Department, $9,775.80. Public Property, $66,109.77. E911, $3,399.99. Seizure, $89.82. TIF, $4,392.50. VIP, $10,366.15. Water Department, $320,216.03, for a total of $523,392.22.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to approve the bills as read? So moved, Your Honor. Moved by Mannix. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Burns. Discussion. Madam Clerk, you may call the roll.
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Mannix?
Aye.
Commissioner Novak?
Aye.
Commissioner Entler?
Aye.
Mayor Calderon?
Aye.
This is Resolution R 65-16.
Thank you. We have no unfinished business. We're going to move on to new business. The first item is an Economic Development Progress Report presented by Bridget Lane. Bridget, it's all yours. Hopefully our projector will come to life.
Okay. Maybe if they turn off the back lights, the front lights, and leave the back ones on. Yeah.
I know a copy of this is available, and this is just a quick update. As most of you know, for about 5 months, I've been working with a committee of village residents on economic development. And just quickly tonight, what I want to do is update you on the village revenue growth, some of the opportunity sites that the committee has been talking about and owners I've been working with. And then we've been looking at the economic development process itself in the village, responsibility, some use restriction, and coordination with other agencies in the village. So here's just a quick economic development funding update. Last time I spoke to you, I talked about the sales increase 2014 to 2015, and there's just a little reminder of the categories that had increased and the challenge. Everyone needs to buy their groceries in Forest Park. And that's a nationwide issue where grocery stores are changing. It's not really related to Forest Park, but the state requires at least 4 businesses in each category to be able to report on it. So, but we do know that groceries are the challenge here for us. Now, in the first quarter of 2016 was all that was available from the state so far. The revenue was a little over $1 million. There was a 3% increase over 2015. Nice bounce in general merchandise, which would be the kind of business that includes Walmart and other stores that sell a variety of goods like that. Automotive was down, relating primarily to gas prices, not the cars themselves, because as most of you know, gas is cheaper than it was before, and that impacts the sales tax revenue. Restaurants were up 4%, and groceries were only down 3%, so maybe there's a little change there. But that's just an update, and we'll continue to keep that information coming. This is just kind of an introduction about one national trend that has led to discussion in the Economic Development Committee. This is a chart put together by the International Council of Shopping Centers showing how shopping center space, that the change in how shopping center space is dedicated to other uses than retail and restaurant in shopping centers. And although we have one shopping center in Forest Park Plaza, this is a trend that's impacting retail nationwide as service businesses start to be part of what were once all stores and restaurant streets. And this is a discussion, the committee has been looking at Roosevelt Road, and it's very important to Forest Park. So just sort of to give us some guidance, I did this exercise for the committee. Most of you know that the prime area, Forest Park Plaza, is a huge economic engine. There's a little map here that shows the Walmart, and there's a vacant space of about 98,000 square feet in the Ultra Foods. It's really contributing significantly to the village. There's a lease pending on the 98,000 square feet, which will be very impactful to the village. There's also outlots available along the street, which could be very successful given the pattern that's occurring there with the Portillo's, which is an extremely successful restaurant. There's also a bit of inline space. But just the exercise I went into is what could it mean to the village to fill this space. So if we take this 106,000 square feet of vacant space, nationally, $300 for large national retailers is kind of the average sales per square foot. So the potential sales would be 31.8 million. And if all of those, the maximum the village could get, would be another $636,000 out of that. And that's if they had both the non-home rule sales tax and the 1% sales tax. Given the chart I just showed you, that's probably kind of unrealistic, but we might set as a revenue goal for this area of Roosevelt Road an increase of about $400,000, less any incentives it takes to attract the businesses that are there. So what I was trying to put out to the committee and what we've been in discussions about, first is the importance of Roosevelt Road, and secondly, the potential the village has for revenue there. And this is part of the revenue potential in Forest Park that we've talked about. Harlem and Roosevelt are two of the busiest streets in the whole Chicago metro area, and Forest Park is very fortunate to have commercial property along both streets. These are just some quick numbers. Increasingly, bus traffic, there's 2,700 people riding the bus on Harlem, and then there's 37,000 cars in an average day on Harlem. Roosevelt has two important pace routes, 2,600 riders and 27,800 average daily traffic. And then as PACE, some of you may have been following PACE, there's going to be probably a lot less investment in the extension of hard rail lines and a lot more investment in something called Pulse, which is buses that jump lights and do things to make them much faster. Both of these streets could at some point in the next 10 to 15 years have that special bus service, which is called Pulse. But the point is, how do you take advantage of this? One thing is to allow drive-throughs, which have they increase the sales of businesses typically by about 30%. And the typical uses are quick service restaurants, gas, and convenience. And then what I have here is a series of pictures. There's lots of study going on nationwide about how you make these businesses more attractive and what you can do, but it really is an advantage that Forest Park has, and we're talking about in the committee, how we make sure that we capitalize on that. The other thing is we've continued to talk about Madison, and a lot of the conversation has been about uses, and some of them that we're potentially talking about, and we'll be talking with the village's planning consultants about how you might encourage some tutorial centers, perhaps some professional use on the ground floor, some of which had been grandfathered in originally. A growing and interesting phenomenon in a lot of places are co-working spaces. The one here, Sweet Spot, is in LaGrange, and this Lexi is in St. Charles. But both of them have opened in downtowns. And what a co-working space is, where a lot of entrepreneurial businesses come together and actually work together and grow their businesses. And the other thing is, I didn't really emphasize it on the first slide, but most of the work that I've been doing has been to support the brokers. We have a lot of very good professionals involved on Madison. And last time I showed you a draft of a sheet to market Madison. I've got a number of copies here. And one of my goals is to make these available to anybody in town who ever goes to a business and they say, wow, this is a great business. Have this on your computer, send it to folks and tell them, come to Forest Park, here's why you ought to be here. It's a great place to do business. So that's what we're really working on. A couple of other items. The economic development process, I've been working on regional coordination. I've met with most of the peers, and I've tried to move a little beyond the exact neighborhood. I've hosted here the economic development people from Western Springs and LaGrange, which are communities just far enough away that a good business owner would consider a second store, either if they are a Forest Park business or they're a Western Springs or LaGrange business. And so I've had conversations with those owners, because our goal here, I believe, is to grow the pie and not take businesses one town from another adjacent to us. So that's the goal that we've had as a group working with these other communities. And we are extremely excited, and I hope everybody here gets excited about another initiative in terms of growing new businesses. And one thing is, I originally found out that Mount Prospect has this Entrepreneurs Initiative model, and it's a cooperation of the Chamber, and I've talked with our Chamber Executive Director about this, the library and the village in Mount Prospect to grow their own businesses internally. And they've been successful. Numbers on entrepreneurial businesses, I think they've been around 3 or 4 years and they've grown 3 or 4 businesses, which may seem like, wow, what is that? But it's a really good, sizable improvement. And what's really exciting is the library in Forest Park had already taken on some business support seminars, and I encourage, I'm glad there's a big crowd here, I get to notify everyone. But on November 17th at the St. Joseph Business School in the evening, which is in Forest Park Plaza, there's going to be a workshop on success stories from small business owners and a panel discussion where actually the small business, the SBA, the federal agency will be there, the law project, which helps people with leases and things, SCORE, the Women's Business Development Center, and the Small Business Development Center are going to be making a presentation in Forest Park to encourage people to start their own businesses. So, last is just to talk about what we're working on now. We're working on focusing on differentiating the Forest Park opportunity for businesses. We want to have all of the high volume businesses, but the entrepreneurship is very, very important in Forest Park. We believe that in comparison to some of the plans for surrounding communities, we can be known for a community with human scale. Some of the towns around us are getting really large and tall, and also the entertainment that's always been part of Forest Park. We're encouraging a local economic development support network where the first contact anybody has isn't an answer of no, it's how can I get to yes? What is it that we can do to make your business work in Forest Park? The coordination of resources through the library, the chamber, the village, so that we all work together. And then some possible regulatory changes, although there's nothing specific right now. Again, raising the awareness in the broker network throughout the Chicago region of the opportunities here, and to continue facilitating tenanting by connecting owners and brokers with tenants. One of the things I've been very careful to be sure I did is every time there's a vacancy or a new broker notice comes up, I call them all and make sure that they get the information sheet on Forest Park and talk to them. And I've had a lot of conversations with the brokerage community. So that's my update, and I don't know if there's any questions or...
Let us get the lights back on, Bridget, and then I'm going to ask the commissioners if they have any questions. Commissioners, any questions? Bridget?
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
Bridget, just on the 6,000 square foot, the 2 outlots, can you tell me a little bit more about how a deal would look down there with those outlots?
Yeah, let me just get back to that picture. You can kind of see them. See those green boxes?
Right.
You know where the light is going to Forest Park
Absolutely.
Plaza? It's already authorized. There's a lot of excitement about that. There's it's a great opportunity there.
Well, it is, and that's what jumped out. So, I mean, is the opportunity there, I'm assuming that the land is not for sale, that it would be a land lease, and then whoever
Correct.
wants to come in would be able to build on top of it and do a long-term land
Right.
lease with it. And do we have any details as to what that would look like?
We don't now. The broker that's marketing this property is actively marketing those sites. And my hope in my discussions with them have also been to pull in brokers representing some of the more important food businesses. When I talk, I was at a meeting last week of a network, the Chicago area was a networking group, and I ran into a couple of brokers. Everyone knows about that Portillo's and how successful it is, so there's
It's
a lot of
insane.
interest in
Right.
this. We will be having a lot of conversations about those, trying to make sure we get the right tenants there.
Well, it's interesting because I had a conversation with a business owner who was in the quick service restaurant side of things, very similar to Portillo's type business, and they like that area because of the Walmart traffic,
Right.
because of the Ultra when Kmart was there, the Kmart traffic, et cetera, especially putting an outlot right by a light with the amount of car traffic on there. So I mentioned several other pieces of property in town that provided opportunities, and they didn't have any interest in that because they wanted to be there.
Right.
That's very interesting. And then on the shared office entrepreneurial initiative, I think that's an exceptional thing for our community. There's a rather large former medical building that's circling Madison. I look out my office window at it, say, gee, I wish someone was there. And I think the parking that's available
All
there.
negotiations are confidential until they're finished.
Absolutely, but I would absolutely love to see a shared space there.
And there also are some second-story spaces here that could also work for that.
Absolutely.
So I've been trying to get information from property owners about that because it's an interesting business and it does rely on lower rents than some of what's being charged here.
Excellent. And then my final question, I guess, is on, and this is relative to the shared office space. Generally, one of the requirements is to have fiber available. And I just bring that up to comment on it because I'm not part of your economic development committee meetings, is that there are numerous other communities that have partnered with their school districts actually using the E-rate program to be able to run fiber at basically a 90% discount using federal government funds so that you could bring in very, very fast fiber throughout your community by powering up all of your schools with fiber, which is great for our schools, it's great for our community, because the cost is not in the actual wire that you're putting in the ground, it's to dig up the ground, put it in, and then fix it when it's done. So I think an opportunity for a partnership like that could attract a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of shared office space. I'd encourage you to proceed with that.
I agree, thank you. That's a great suggestion.
Commissioners, any other questions of Bridget? Very good. Bridget, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item number 2 is an ordinance amending Title III entitled Business and License Regulations by adding Chapter 15 entitled Video Gaming and amending Chapter 3 entitled Liquor Control and amending Chapter 2 entitled General Offenses of Title 5 entitled Police and Public Safety, the Municipal Code of Forest Park. This is placed before you tonight for consideration.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
There's a motion approved by Mannix. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Burns. We'll now open it up for discussion. Hearing no discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I guess I'll jump in and start the discussion here. One of the things that I heard repeatedly throughout here is the need to bring this to a vote of the people. I want to be expressly clear that no action taken by this board can ever usurp state law. We are a non-home rule community. No matter what, if there is a petition that's in line with state law, this will be put to a vote in the April 2017 election. Nothing we do up here is going to deprive anyone of that right to do that. If that's absolutely not the case. The state law is extraordinarily clear. The residents have an opportunity to pass a petition, which is already out there being worked on, from what I've been told, to put this up for a vote in the April 2017 election. So I want to make sure everyone understands that whatever side you're at on this issue, is that nothing we're doing here as a board is going to usurp that right, that inherent American and human right that you've got to exercise your voice. So I want to make that very clear. That's something I heard repeatedly throughout the public comments, I wanted to clarify.
Any other discussion?
You know, I've looked long and hard at this, I've listened to everybody involved in this, and I just think if it goes ahead, there's gonna be a trial basis there. If it's not working, I'll be the first guy in line at the election to vote it down. But if there's a chance for this thing to work and work with the other businesses in there, let's give it a try. All you can do is see if they're abiding by all the rules and regulations. And believe me, the rules and regulations, if they apply for this business license, for this gaming license, is a lot more stringent than it would be on a regular bar. One instance where that bar gets closed for a day, that report goes down to Springfield, and they can get their license pulled, and they're out the $5,000 and the $25 for the machine. There's no refunds in this. So they have to keep a clean house. If there's riots in those bars, they're gonna get closed down, and their license is gonna be pulled. This is a closer way to keep track of what those bars are doing, instead of having our police officers be the bouncers all the time. So, you know, if it's working in March, or if it's not working in March, fine, let's get it on the ballot and let's vote on it. That's the way I feel.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mayor, just want to maybe clarify some things for some people. I know that the question of what the funds from video gaming would be used for, and I've noticed in here that it would, for the purposes of funding police and fire pensions, economic development and infrastructure improvements, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I know one of the other questions that was brought up was in regards to the image of our town, particularly, I think at this point, Madison Street. And I know one of the questions that I got was in regards to signage. And that is also addressed in this ordinance, correct?
It is.
Okay, so if I'm reading this correctly, the way that this is stated is that an establishment would not be able to post anything temporary or permanent outside of their business, correct?
That is correct. This proposal that you have before you tonight is going to prohibit any kind of signage on the exterior of the building.
My other question would be in regards to the subject of the video gaming cafes. I think I saw something in here that will require a potential license application-y, whatever the word is, to hold a valid liquor license in the village before applying for a gaming license, correct?
That is correct. There actually, I think there really are two areas that this proposal before you tonight deals with that issue. Fortunately or unfortunately, it really depends on how you view the world. The complexities of legalese sometimes keeps you, for instance, if it was the will of the council to say, this is okay, but we don't want any video gaming cafes, you simply can't write it in those words. And so what happens is there's I'll call it a double effort in this proposal before you tonight. One is that in order to be eligible for this supplemental liquor license, you need to be a holder of Class A, A1, A2, A3, or A7 in order to be entitled to get a Class V video gaming supplemental license. And so in the ordinance, what we've done to prohibit those is first to say that in order to be eligible for Class V, you will have had to be the holder of one of those classes for 1 year before you can apply for a Class B. And then secondly, we have additional language under O 3-15-8 that no Class B license shall be issued to any establishment organized or existing primarily for the purpose of promoting video gaming. So I suppose, I mean, if one of the video gaming operations, you wanted to, number one, apply for a liquor license here in Forest Park, which, if that was to occur, I would have to come before the council to increase the number of issued liquor licenses in one of the several categories that I had read earlier. That would be step one. And then let's say everyone here agreed to issuing the number of liquor licenses. They would have to open up their doors and remain in operation and not have any video game for 1 year before they could apply for a Class B license.
The Class B is currently set up the same way, where that number's at 0, and that same principle and action is in place, where if someone applies for a Class B, that comes in front of the council, and that number currently at 0 would go up if we approve it.
That is correct.
You know, the 1 to 2, all the way to possible number if everyone applies. But
That
again,
is correct.
we could limit the number of Class Bs also issued as well.
You absolutely could limit the number of Class Vs, and indeed, in order for anyone to receive a Class V, as those applications might come in, I would have to present to the council one or more than one time, most likely more than one time, a recommendation to establish some number of Class B licenses, and I would never recommend that we establish a number greater than whatever applications may be before the village. So there actually is quite a number of controls that are in this proposed ordinance. You know, we certainly have heard any number of concerns over the last year and a half. Heard concerns about signage, heard concerns about the video gaming cafes. Those absolutely are addressed here. I would also point out, and really it truly is impossible, you know, there have been positions taken on whether or not, you know, the revenue is a good thing or not a good thing, and I don't know what the dollar threshold is, if there is such a thing, that makes, you know, any new revenue good or bad. It's been my experience that I've never found a town yet that is not interested in gaining newfound revenue. Any town I've ever encountered certainly would welcome newfound revenue. We have what's proposed before you tonight for a Class B liquor license. That fee is $5,000. And so I suppose, I mean, it really depends on how you want to calculate it. There is no telling how many eligible establishments may apply for a Class B license. There's no telling. There's no study that you can do. There's no data that you can gather, because we don't know what's on the minds of the owners of the 42 eligible establishments. You know, certainly, I don't mind the amusement. Of the 42 establishments that are eligible, very likely is some number of them that most likely will not entertain video gaming. There are some establishments in town that most likely will not apply for this. So, but at full case scenario, there's 42 places. Full case. And if all 42 decided to have the video gaming, who can do the quick math? 42 times 5,000? 210,000 annually. So just right out of the gate annually, without one penny being wagered, the Village of Forest Park would gain $210,000. Actually, just slightly a little bit more, because we'd have to take the $25 machine license fee, and so if all 42 eligible establishments maxed out at the 5 machines, times the $25, what's that?
$1,050.
So $1,050. So I mean, we're closing in just short of $250,000, just on licensing, both machine license and Class V supplemental liquor license, just short of $250,000, and that's without even one penny being wagered. So it's impossible. You know, we could sit here and say all 42 are going to apply, and maybe they will. But then again, I think that there may be some that, you know, this just doesn't fit their business plan, their operation. But we have no way of. Any further questions? Madam Clerk, you can call the roll.
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Mannix?
Aye.
Commissioner Novak?
Aye.
Commissioner Entler?
Aye.
Mayor Calderon?
Abstain.
Chicken shit.
This is ordinance O-26-16.
26.
Yes, 26. 16.
Okay, thank you. That motion is approved and so ordered. Commissioners, I'm going to wait just a few moments, and it seems like there might be a clearing of the chambers.
Safe shit.
Okay, we still have a meeting going on, so, you know, those of you who are going to be leaving, please do so quietly. We're going to continue with our meeting in the council chambers. We're still in session, and I'm calling us to order. Thank you. We're going to continue. Item number 3, Commissioners, is a resolution approving a subscription agreement to Backflow Solutions, Inc. in the Village of Forest Park. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution? So moved, Your Honor. Moved by Mannix. Is there a second? I'll second. Seconded by Novak. Discussion. Madam Clerk, you can call the roll.
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Mannix?
Aye.
Commissioner Novak?
Aye.
Commissioner Entler?
Aye.
Mayor Calderon?
Aye.
This is resolution R-66-16.
Thank you. Item 4 is a resolution approving and ratifying the execution of a volunteer site agreement for the Village of Forest Park Health Fair by and between Rushville Park Hospital and the Village of Forest Park. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Mannix. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Entler. Discussion. Madam Clerk, you may proceed.
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Mannix?
Aye.
Commissioner Novak?
Aye.
Commissioner Entler?
Aye.
Mayor Calderon?
Aye.
This is Resolution R-67-16.
Thank you. Item 5 is request from Kiwanis to conduct a soapbox derby race on June 3rd, 2017. Any objections to this request?
Absolutely phenomenal event, Mr. Mayor. I volunteered at it, and Billy Gerst made me buy a soapbox car a couple years ago, so if there's any youngsters out there that are looking for a car, I need a driver. I couldn't get out of it.
Okay, so I'm hearing no objections. Hearing no objections, we're going to notify Kiwanis that they can proceed with their plans. Lastly, item 6 is a motion to ratify the mayor's signature on an agreement for a senior event managed by the community center. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Mannix. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Entler. Discussion. Madam Clerk, you may proceed.
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Mannix?
Aye.
Commissioner Novak?
Aye.
Commissioner Entler?
Aye.
Mayor Calderon?
Aye. Thank you. We're at administrative report, Tim. We'll move on to commissioners. Commissioner Burns.
Yes, I have one thing. On the 27th of October, we'll be standing out on the street with the fire department, with our firefighters. They have the muscular dystrophy collection. I'll be there with my daughter, and then my wife will be there on the 28th. So we'll be out there if you want to drive by and drop a buck in the booth. Please don't try to hit me after tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mannix.
Yes, Your Honor, just in the interest of health and safety, I just want to remind everyone when the Cubs win the World Series, everyone to be safe out there when they're celebrating the big win.
That's called positive mental attitude.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Novak. Commissioner Entler.
Nothing at this time.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Mannix. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Burns. Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Mannix?
Aye.
Commissioner Novak?
Aye.
Commissioner Entler?
Aye.
Mayor Calderon?
Aye, we stand adjourned. Thank you.